Hey guys, this is the Revolutionary Male. My name is Alex, and today I'm going to go ahead and read what looks like a post from a website called loveshack.org. It's a post by the member Home Alone 123 entitled, "I cheated, now my life is destroyed." This is going to be my first post here, although I am a long-time lurker. A lurker is somebody who just reads stuff on a forum and doesn't ever post. This is going to be a long post, sorry in advance, and thanks to the ones that take the time to read and give me some advice. My husband and I were each other's first love. When I was 17, I got pregnant, and shortly thereafter, we got married. Our life was difficult, our families helped us take care of our son, but while our friends were out having fun and living a careless life, we were dealing with the newly acquired responsibilities as parents. We were not prepared for this. I would imagine you were not at 17. I'm not sure. I don't understand why people in this situation don't give the children up to adoption. You're 17 years old. You are essentially a child, and not equipped to actually raise a kid properly. Adoption is, in that situation, the least worst option sometimes. But unfortunately, I think there's a lot of pressure put on people, and a lot of people put pressure on themselves to raise these children, when I think in a number of circumstances it would likely be better if the child was actually raised by a pair of people who are actually financially, mentally, emotionally, and physically equipped to do it the right way. But it often does not work out that way. People, especially the younger they are, tend to be incredibly irresponsible when it comes to sex, and we have a lot of situations like this where this happens. Continuing now. To make things even worse, a year and a half after I got pregnant, I'm trying to kind of edit this as I read it because it's not written particularly well. To make things even worse, a year and a half after that, I got pregnant for the second time. How you get pregnant accidentally twice in a span of 2 years, you're clearly not being responsible. Not whatsoever. You'd think the first child would be a huge lesson, but apparently not. Some people do not learn the hard way either. I was not even 20 years old when my second son was born. My husband stopped studying and started a business with the help of our parents, and I was left to take care of the 2 children on my own. My husband is a great father, but I have always been the one who had to stay at home, do all the chores, and take care of the children while he was working 14 to 16 hours a day. He was working all those hours because we needed the money and we could not afford paying someone to take care of the shop. But somehow I started to blame him for the situation. Year after year, I built up a big resentment inside of me, and I blamed him for the loss of our youth and freedom. A rational part of me knew that I was wrong, but I ignored it. This is something that's very common in women in these situations. They will, even when you're doing the right thing as a man, you are taking care of all your responsibilities. You're risking everything by trying to start a business, working yourself to death in order to take care of the wife and children that you have at home. The wife in these situations often does not actually recognize or value what you're doing, and instead will hold it against you because they aren't, being fulfilled by the fact that they're a stay-at-home mother taking care of the children. I think part of this is part of the reason that this is the case is because we don't really value motherhood the way that we used to. We don't really value the incredible role that women and mothers play in the lives of children the way that we used to. Instead, we've had 50 to 60 years of popular culture telling girls to grow up and become successful outside the home. And so in a situation like this where you're successful inside the home, it's just not valued or appreciated enough. And so women who end up in these situations, not where it wasn't their initial choice, can often become incredibly angry and bitter and resentful. It's unfortunate, but it is true. And it seems like, given how irresponsible they were, you can't expect somebody like this, some woman like this, to actually be rational in response. So, continuing. Fast forward until 2 years ago, our marriage wasn't bad. We accepted that we had to work hard to give our two great kids an opportunity in life, and we worked well as a team. My husband is a loving person. He and my two sons treated me like the queen of the house, and I felt loved and happy. But I still had the feeling that I had missed out because I got pregnant so young, and I still blamed my husband for it. I know that is unfair, but that was how I was feeling. Notice what she said there? I know it was unfair, but that's how I was feeling. Women give such incredible weight to their emotions. Like they're categorically, universally true, regardless of how irrational they may be. And to a certain extent, I can understand why you may feel a certain way. But the moment that you actually allow that to interfere in your relationship, she's already, in my mind, committing an infidelity. Because to me, infidelity means reducing the role that you play in the relationship. Anything that you do to reduce your role, the role that you play in the relationship, is infidelity to me. It doesn't have to be sex. It doesn't have to be talking to some guy. It could be absolutely anything that reduces your role in the relationship. I was going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week during that time. I had become friends with the Capoeira instructor. I don't know what that is. I suppose it's some kind of exercise. Before I knew it, we were having sex. You see how much detail there is here before that part of the story? And then she just completely glosses over all the detail and how she started having sex with this guy. That's called, oh damn it, there's a name for that. That's very deliberate, and women will do that a lot. She's not being truthful or honest here. She's trying to gloss over the details because she doesn't want us to know just how deceptive, destructive, and just terrible she was in how she went about cheating on her husband. I mean, it's pretty despicable. And keep in mind that most likely this is years later. So the kids she doesn't have to take care of the kids every day. If she's going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, she doesn't have to take care of the kids to the same extent that she used to. So her life is likely a lot easier. But does she actually say anything about that in detail? No, nothing at all. I knew what I was doing. I knew that what I was doing was wrong, but I somehow justified it to myself because I didn't have any feelings for the affair partner. It was only sex, and it was a small compensation for all the experiences I had missed out in my youth. Listen to the language here. It's very, very important. She still, I believe, still to this day believes that she was justified in doing what she did. I wanted to stop the affair every week, but the truth is that I didn't stop until my husband found out 2 days ago. You didn't want to stop. If you wanted to stop, you would have. You enjoyed the thrill of knowing that you were doing something wrong, and you enjoyed torturing yourself with the idea that you were doing something wrong and you couldn't stop yourself. Women get a huge thrill out of that. Women get a huge thrill out of feeling compelled by an external force or even an internal force to do something that they know is wrong or that part of them doesn't want to do. That's one of the ways, one of the things that they really, really enjoy about being with a man who knows how to seduce them. Where every instinct in them knows that they probably shouldn't give in, but they can't help themselves and do. It's part of every woman's innate kind of domination fantasy. They like to be directed and led and controlled to a certain extent. Continuing. I never expected my husband's reaction. He put some of my clothes in 2 bags and called my parents to come pick me up. When I arrived home, my mother was crying and my father was completely red. She didn't expect her husband to kick her out of the house and to essentially tell her that our relationship is over. That just goes to show you how much she took advantage of her relationship with him. Just goes to show you she didn't consider his feelings at all. If she was taken completely by surprise here, she was not considerate of his feelings at all, whatsoever. This was all about her own innate desires and her own feelings and what she felt like she was entitled to. My husband told me I was not welcome in my house anymore. Good. I didn't have to ask why he was so angry. I knew immediately that he had found out about my affair and that it would be best if I would go that night to sleep at my parents' house. I told him that I would give him time and space to calm down and that I would come back the next day to talk with him, and I left. Again, not respecting him, not actually allowing him to determine what's going to happen here. This is all about her. Everything's about her. I will give you space. I'm trying to be the good guy now that I'm found out. So I'll give you time and I'll give you space. And, I'll come back tomorrow to see how you feel. When it's put like that, you see how disgusting this behavior is? My parents were very disappointed in me. They love my husband and they respect him a lot for the way he has built his life into a proper business, prospering businessman and a good father. They were in shock, but nevertheless, I am their daughter, so they took me with them and gave me some space to think things through. The next day, I went back to the home in the morning when my kids were at school and my husband was at work. He always comes home at lunch, so I waited for him to arrive. When he arrived, he looked like a man who had been destroyed, and I think it was the first time that I realized what I had done and the terrible consequences for those who I love. See, again, she's still not considering the consequences, even up till this moment. It's still only beginning to sink in. Even when she says this, I don't believe her because she has displayed no real empathy here. None whatsoever. This is still all about her. I tried to explain to him how sorry I was, that I have never stopped loving him and that my affair was not about him but about me. Yeah, no, lady, you're selfish. That I have issues and that I would like to go to individual counseling and marriage counseling. Again, all about her. This is all about her. He sat down and listened to all that I wanted to say for around an hour without saying anything. See what this dynamic is like in their relationship? At that point, he told me that he doesn't want to go to marriage counseling or individual counseling or do anything to work on the marriage. He said that if after all that we had been through, everything that we had sacrificed, if after all that he had done for me, I still had it in me to betray him this way, then he doesn't want anything to do with me anymore. He asked me to move out of the house and move into my parents' home. I begged him to give me a second chance, and I explained to him that our kids need both of their parents, and he got crazy and started to scream. He told me that if I was thinking about our kids' priorities while I was having sex with the affair partner and many other things that I don't need to repeat here. I told him that I would come back later when he would be more calm to talk again and to see my children, and I left. Again, look at that. Listen to that. All about her. This is all about her. And it's unbelievable. She's not truly sorry. She has no real sense of how destroyed her husband is here. And one thing I really want to point out, there was something earlier that I wanted to mention, but let me get this out of the way right now. Here it is. The part where she says, I told him that I would come back later when he would be more calm to talk again and to see my children. She says, my children. She doesn't consider them our children. This is how she thinks. She's selfish. And God only knows the amount of details that she's actually leaving out here. That would actually reveal more about how selfish of a person she is. I came back 4 hours later to find out that my husband had already told my sons about my affair the day before. They were very upset and didn't show any affection towards me. They were both siding with their father. I wonder why. They were both siding with their father. Like there was any chance they were going to side with her. See what I'm saying? I told my husband that he shouldn't have involved our children, and he told me that I should have not gotten involved with the affair partner if I didn't like the aftermath of it. That my sons are old enough to know why we are going to get divorced, and it is important because they can, at their age, choose with whom they want to live. I didn't think about divorce until that moment. See? Again, all about her. She doesn't give a damn about what happens to anybody else. And when he said it, I felt dizzy, and they had to help me because I started to see the huge consequences of what I have done. Sure, lady. My husband called my father again, and he came to pick me up. I wanted to stay, but neither my husband nor my children wanted me there. And here I am at my parents' house, feeling alone and empty without my 3 men. I have risked everything that I care about for something that meant nothing to me. I have hurt my husband and companion and my 2 kids, and I still don't even understand why. I may lose everything, as if I was in a self-destroying mission. What would you do next? How can I win my husband and kids back? What can you say to someone you have hurt so much? Will my children ever forgive me? Please give me some hope and advice. Again, all about her. All about her, winning her kids back. What would you do next? How can I win my husband and kids back? How about, what can I do to make amends? How about I fix myself? What is wrong with me? Why did I do this? Maybe I should... It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And this happens all the time. This happens all the time to men. You do everything absolutely right. You put your entire life, your entire purpose into your children, your family, your wife. And what do you get for it? You get destroyed, completely obliterated for it. And that's why so many men are starting to walk away from relationships. Because a lot of us are beginning to recognize that there's such a high risk to reward potential here. The risk is far too great for so many of us that it's not even worth entering into. And unfortunately, it's very destructive to the fabric of society when families like this break up because of poor choices, to say the least. Let's see if there's any interesting comments. Let's see. Yeah, nothing really. People who cheated. Well, I guess there's nothing terribly interesting here. Actually, here we go. As someone who was cheated on, let me say this. Your husband is in for the most miserable ride of his life. I truly believe that someone who cheats has no concept of just how incredibly damaging it is to their partner. I guarantee you that every ounce of pain you feel is multiplied 10 times of what he is feeling. Reasoning, explaining your sorrow absolutely means nothing to him right now. His world, his life, and most importantly, his heart has been destroyed, vaporized, gone. The emotions that man will feel over the next several months will be nothing he has ever experienced before. He will cry, he will lash out, he will become extremely angry, but he will heal. How he heals will say a lot about your future interactions with him. It took me years to get over it. The best thing you can do right now is to back away. His disgust in you is going to multiply day by day until he reaches the top of the hill he will be climbing. When he comes to you, and he will answer every single question he has, do not try to cover up or downplay anything. He has absolutely no trust in you. If you try to get to something past him, he will never believe a word you say, forever. In the meantime, get yourself some therapy. I wish my ex would have, as it would have shown me she was serious about fixing things. Yeah, it's very destructive. Absolutely destructive. The people closest to us have the greatest capacity of hurting us. And that's the risk that we take with interpersonal relationships like this. It can be absolutely brutal. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any stories or comments to share, you can go ahead and comment on the video below. If you'd like to send me an email, please do so at therevolutionarymail@gmail.com. Again, my name is Alex. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next video.